have reasserted ourselves. I think we can always do better. I mean, there's a lot of attention paid to the debt. The debt's important, but I think the debt's even more important in the context of growth. We have to explain to people, why does the debt matter? It's not just because we owe a bunch of money. It's because it scares and discourages people from making the money they have available into our economy. Why do you invest money? Because you expect a profit in the future.
Can I just say something about the debt? There's a debt clock out there now. Where's the growth clock?
Well, that's a good point.
Where's the growth clock that we really need?
And that's what matters to people at the end of the day, because the number one issue in Washington may be the debt, but the number one issue in America is growth. It's jobs that aren't being created. It's opportunities that are not happening. So I think we have to do a better job of focusing on that. And I think that Mitt Romney's the perfect messenger for that message, because he understands how growth happens.
Do you think investors and business, and I'm thinking particularly small business, do you think that they are gaining back their confidence in the Republican Party? That's an issue. The polls don't really show that. Small business, investors, do they look at the GOP as their friend, as their pro-business, as the growth?
I think that's something we have to work on. And it starts with basically pointing out that we're not the party of crony capitalism. We're not the party of crony capitalism. I made this argument yesterday in a couple of programs. I said, look, there's nothing wrong with big corporations, but they're going to be okay with big government. In fact, sometimes they use it to their benefit. The guys who get crushed, the gals who get crushed are the small businesses that can't afford to hire all the lawyers and the accounting firms and can't hire the lobbyists to change the rules if they don't like it. They're the ones that get they're the ones that get crushed by big government. I think we need to do a better job of making that argument, because it happens to be true and it happens to be very effective.
Can we flatten tax rates with pro-growth tax reform while at the same time cutting spending to grow the economy and lower the deficit and the debt problem? There's a debate about the numbers here. Mitt Romney's got this plan. Chris Christie talked about it last night. In your judgment, can that argument be sold? Lower taxes, lower spending, lower deficits.
Yeah, because again, the argument we need to make to people is that when you stabilize the tax rate, you flatten it, you simplify it, the economy grows, it actually generates more revenue. And we've seen that in the past. The problem is, for example, that even though we had historic increases in revenues in the 2000s, we had historic increases in spending. They were even more historic. And that's the problem.
You want to solve employment. You want to solve all the hardships. 25 million people have evaporated from the labor force. Growth, 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 Republican.
Well, my job tomorrow is to introduce Mitt Romney. But in the context of doing that, one of the things that makes Mitt Romney the best candidate for president is that he understands what's made our economy exceptional, and that's growth. And I'll describe why he understands it.
Last one, tough question, the whole immigration question, okay? Republicans still have a very austere, almost punitive message. They're way behind in the polls regarding Latinos and Hispanics. It sounds like they don't want worker permits. It sounds like they don't want a path to citizenship. It's all about border security. But what about the 11 million people who are already here? What about those who were brought here as kids from their parents? How can the GOP win with such a punitive, austere immigration message?
Well, first of all, every time we talk about immigration, it can't be in the context of illegal immigration and what we're going to do about it. I think we have to start by bragging about the fact that 1 million people a year immigrate to the United States legally. 1 million people. No other country comes close. I think we have to follow that up by reminding people that immigration is not just good for America. It's important for our economic future. Ask the high-tech companies. Ask agriculture and the service.
We need the brainiacs for sure.
We shouldn't be deporting physicists and nuclear scientists that we're training. We would never train a general at West Point and send him to China. Why would we send him our best scientists and technology people? That all being said, we do have an illegal immigration problem. We have to have immigration laws. They have to be enforced. We have a broken legal immigration system that contributes to illegal immigration. And we do have 11, 12, 13 million.
But what's wrong with worker permits? What's wrong with teaching English? What's wrong with teaching American history? What is wrong at the end of the day with a path to citizenship?
Well, the problem with that is, unfortunately, that it rewards illegal immigration and it encourages it in the future. And let me tell you who it's really unfair to. It's unfair to the millions of people that are waiting to come here legally. I get them in my office every day. They come and they say to us, well, we've been waiting 7 years. My parents paid the fees. They've waited in line. What do I tell them? Come illegally. It's cheaper and easier. It sends a really bad message. It's not fair to those folks. Now, we have the issue of the young kids who were brought here when they were 3 or 4 years old. I'd like to find a solution for that that's not amnesty. Beyond that, we have to do something that, on the one hand, tackles the issue, but doesn't do it in a way that encourages or rewards illegal immigration.
But has immigration ever not been a growth factor? Has it ever not been a growth factor?
No, look, I think it's critical for our economy. We have to talk about how we need to have immigration for this country to continue to prosper. And but it has to be done in a way that's good for America and that respects the rule of law. And I think we can get there. I really do.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Senator Marco Rubio,
thank you
ever so much for
visiting.
Thank you.